Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something pretty special today.
Oh, yeah.
Maize meal porridge. It's like the heart of South African cuisine.
Sounds comforting.
We've got recipe books, cultural deep dives, the whole works.
So by the end, we'll be experts.
Not just experts, but you'll be ready to whip up a pot yourself and get why it's so much more than just breakfast.
All right. I'm intrigued. So maize meal, is that just cornmeal?
Basically, yeah. It's finely ground, dried corn, super common in lots of places, but South Africa.
They've got a special connection.
Absolutely. It's like woven into their history. But first,
We got to talk nutrition, right? This stuff is good for you.
seriously, low fat, naturally gluten-free, and 80 gives you energy for days. Carbs, but the good kind.
And, for those watching their diet, it's packed with B vitamins, helps with your metabolism and all that.
So you can feel good about indulging.
Yeah.
But let's rewind a bit. The history of maize in South Africa, that's a story in itself.
Centuries old, if I'm not mistaken.
Spot on. Grown and eaten for, well, as long as anyone can remember. It's not just food, it's heritage, you know?
Right. Like when you think traditional South African meals, this is up there.
And it all ties into this beautiful idea they have, Ubuntu. It's about connection, community,
Everyone being linked together.
and the porridge plays into that.
You see it at family gatherings? Big pot. In the middle, everyone shares. Ubuntu in action. Nourishment. Unity.
Like a ritual almost, more than just eating.
Exactly. You're experiencing their culture, not just a recipe.
Okay, enough philosophy for now. Let's get down to business.
Right.
What do you need to make this stuff?
This is the best part. It's so simple. Maize meal, water, and some salt. Boom, you're basically there.
See, I told you, easy peasy. But obviously,
There's always room for creativity.
Yeah.
The basic recipe is the foundation. Then you build on it.
like if you want that traditional taste, a little butter, sugar, or honey goes a long way.
Classic comfort food right there.
But then there's the savory side. Paprika, some curry powder,
Ooh, that's an idea.
changes the whole game. Or even sautéed onions right in the porridge.
Now you're talking. Maize meal's a blank canvas. Paint whatever flavors you want on it.
And don't even get me started on toppings. Fruits, nuts, peanut butter drizzle, coconut milk swirl.
So there's a version for everyone.
Yeah,
Sweet tooth, savory fan, somewhere in between.
exactly. But hold DP, before we get too carried away with the fun stuff,
We got to learn how to actually make it first.
you got it. Ready to get into the nitty-gritty of the cooking process.
Hit me with it.
Err.
All right, so first things first, you're going to want a pot of water boiling away.
Simple enough. While we're waiting for that,
Got to do a little prep work, separate bowl, half your maize meal, mix it with cold water.
this is where those lumps come in, right? You don't want that.
Exactly. Got to get it nice and smooth, like a paste almost.
So is there a reason for the cold water specifically?
It's all about the starch, see? Cold water lets it absorb slowly, no lumps later on. Science.
Ah, the magic of cooking. Okay, so our water's bubbling away. Now what?
Time for the maize meal mix. Pour it in slowly, but here's the key.
Gotta keep stirring, right? I've heard that before.
Absolutely. Constant stirring. That way it cooks evenly, stays nice and smooth.
Arm workout in the kitchen.
That's one way to look at it. All right, once it's all in, lower the heat, let it simmer. 15, 20 minutes, give or take.
And you'll see it start to thicken up. It's kind of cool to watch.
It is. Now, how thick you want it, that's up to you. Like extra thick.
Add more maize meal, right?
You got it. A little at a time towards the end. If you want it thinner, splash of hot water, maybe some milk.
So you can tweak it as you go. Nice. Okay, so we've got our porridge perfectly cooked. What now? South Africa, they got their classic toppings, right?
Oh, yeah. Keep it simple. Butter, sugar, a drizzle of honey. That's that traditional taste.
Comfort food 101.
You know it.
But we talked about this earlier. The maize meal, it's not just sweet. You can get adventurous.
Oh, absolutely. Spice things up a bit. Chakalaka. You ever heard of that?
Rings a bell. What is it again?
It's this relish. Tomatoes, onions, peppers, beans, all that good stuff adds a whole other dimension to your porridge.
Sounds delicious. What about for the savory lovers out there?
Tomato gravy.
Yeah.
Hearty, warms you right up. Perfect for those colder days.
Ooh, now that's tempting.
And hey, don't forget, you can put the savory right in the porridge too. Sauteed onions, paprika, some curry powder while it's cooking.
Ooh, infuse those flavors. Smart.
Gotta get creative in the kitchen.
I love how many ways you can eat this stuff. It's like a side dish at brunch, eggs and bacon.
Oh, totally. Or even, think about this, a wrap. Spread some hummus, load it up with veggies, use the porridge as the base.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. This is way more versatile than I thought.
Right. But before we go too crazy with the idea,
We should probably talk about what not to do. Yeah.
avoid those kitchen disasters.
Yeah.
Good point. So, one of the biggest things, overcooking or undercooking. Got to find that balance.
Overcooked, it gets all dummy, right?
Exactly. And undercooked, well, nobody wants gritty porridge.
So it's all about that sweet spot. Perfectly cooked, smooth, and creamy.
Nailed it. And don't forget about the stirring. We said it before, but it's important. Keep it moving, no lumps.
It's almost meditative, that stirring.
I feel that.
Yeah.
And last thing, watch those ingredient ratios. Too much maize meal, you get a brick. Too little, it's soup.
Gotta get those measurements right.
Yep. Once you do, though, oh man, you're in for a treat.
So we've covered a lot, but I know there are always a few questions that pop up when people try new things.
Always good to be prepared.
Exactly. Let's do a quick round of FAQ.
Hit me.
So first things first, what if your porridge, it gets a bit too thick? Happens to the best of us.
Easy fix, splash of hot water or milk if you're feeling fancy, stir it in, good as new.
And if it's the opposite, too runny.
A little bit more maize meal, whisk it in while it's still hot, problem solved.
All right, so thickness, we got that covered. Now, what about those of us who, we're busy, we need things fast? Can you use that instant maize meal stuff?
You absolutely can. Saves you some time. But double check the package instructions just in case. They might be a little different from the regular stuff.
Good tip. Now on to the sweet stuff. Literally. What if someone wants to skip the sugar, the honey, any alternatives out there?
Oh, tons. Maple syrup, agave, even stevia if you're watching those calories.
So many options. It's like customized to your heart's content. Okay, last question. Leftovers. Can you even save this stuff?
Of course. Let it cool down all the way, airtight container, fridge. It'll be good for a few days.
Perfect. Though I imagine it gets a bit, solid in the fridge.
Might thicken up a bit, yeah. But just add some liquid when you reheat it. No big deal.
Speaking of reheating, how do we do that without messing it up?
Low and slow is the key. Bit of milk or water, medium heat, stirred constantly, and you're golden.
So there you have it, folks. History, culture, cooking techniques, troubleshooting, we covered it all. You're ready to conquer maize meal porridge.
It's been a fun ride, hasn't it? This dish, it's so simple, yet so meaningful, like a little window into South African life.
It just proves food, it's more than just fuel. It's stories, it's connections, it's a whole experience.
Exactly.
So we hope this deep dive inspired you to not just try making maize meal porridge, but to really appreciate what it represents.
And don't forget, the fun part's just beginning. Get creative with it. Try different flavors, toppings, make it your own.
You might just discover your new favorite comfort food. Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey. Until next time.